Mr. Roll Call.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mrs. Blair.
Here.
Mr. Hyde.
Here.
Mr. Petfalski.
Present.
Mr. Buckmaster is here. Mr. Schrader is absent and excused. Mrs. Boyer.
Here.
We have a 6 present quorum.
Thank you. Mrs. Boyer, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion for the agenda as presented? So moved.
Second.
Anything in the agenda needs to be changed? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Moving on to consent agenda. Could I have a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
One of you two have to take it.
Second.
Okay. She beat me. All right, is there anything in consent agenda that needs separate consideration or has questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Student representation. There we go.
I know.
Hello, ladies. How you doing? All right. What you got for us this week?
Girls basketball had their last game, and the Commonwealth on Friday, where the freshmen lost 8-1 and varsity won. And their next game is tomorrow at home against Washington West, and Friday at home against Washington South. Boys basketball also had the Commonwealth game. Varsity lost, and freshmen and JV won. And then girls gymnastics had their first meet this Saturday at home at Alpha Gymnastics. Other news, this year's musical is Footloose. The classes was released this past week, and practices started today. And the musical will be from February 1st to the 23rd. At Student Council, we're having our annual food drive this year, so this is the food pantry. And we've begun planning for the Winter Olympics in February. And then students this year are participating in the Student Saving Gift Exchange for their teachers and staff. We're also adopting 2 families where students can buy gifts for their business to support them during the holiday season. And in other school activities, we're having our annual Fall Festival this Wednesday for the 7th and 8th grade. Middle school choir and musical choir for our
When do tickets go on sale for Footloose?
Pre-sale for the families and also past group are going to be sold this upcoming week, and then I believe to the public for the pre-sale sometime within the next week.
December 10th. It was to let everyone know. All right. Thank you very much. Any questions for anyone? Thank you, ladies. Have a great day. Public forum. This is your opportunity to come forward and bring anything to the school board's attention. Going once? Going all rush up? All right. Moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
All right, I have a number of items. First, we're going to recognize the Lake Danoon 7th grade basketball champions. So girls, I'll invite you up here. Stand over here.
First of all, congratulations. Exciting. We have certificates of appreciation for each of you. I'm going to read one of them. We can link to the back of our they're all the same. The certificate of appreciation, Muskego Norway School Board congratulates the Lake Danoon Middle School 7th grade girls basketball team through team and individual dedication, skillful preparation, and commitment to excellence. The team was undefeated during its 2018 basketball season. This achievement has brought honor to Muskego Norway schools and community. With deep appreciation, Muskego Norway School Board hereby commends Ms. Abby Walters for her Norway School Board wishes Addie success in her future education and career endeavors, and it's signed and dated by the officer of supporter of his name. And congratulations. Abigail Olson. Abaya Solesi, sorry. Addison Zecker. Hannah Lane. Maggie Matic. Ava Dulash. Isabel Miller. Last but not least, Jordan Cardelis. And your coach, like right away, wants your band to come to school. So it's sitting in my shop and it will be up this week. So.
Get us all in?
We all did?
Yeah. On the count of three, we got 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3.
And if we know who's taking the picture, we can actually look at the right camera. All right. All right. Congratulations, ladies. We're going to see you again next year.
I'm sure if
So a little bit of, encouragement for you guys. The last two teams at Lake Dunoon that won the 7th grade and then 8th grade tournaments were the boys, and that class, when they were seniors, made it to the state championship for the high school. So keep working hard.
All right, and then now we have our first ever Muskego Lakes annual report to the board. So,
Do better than
Jill and
last
Chad-
year.
Yeah. You guys want to introduce your team to all of us? That would be great, or as you go, however works. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Congratulations. Good night.
I'm sure if Mr. Nagy was here, he would probably give us a presentation.
Yes, he would have.
So I'm Rachel Radeski, principal, and Jack Rivers, the other principal. And we're honored to lead. And we're grateful for the new building we have and our love. I know we heard many of you asking not about love, but about we're also proud to once again significantly exceed expectations on our student program. Over the last 3 years, we've also grown, and we looked at the school growth on our report card at a rate greater than anticipated according to the state. Back in 15 to 16, you can see we were below the state score of 66, and since we've exceeded growth at the state level by 1 points. And then if you look at our disaggregated data, 2 of our key subgroups are students who are Latino, Hispanic, and students who are considered economically disadvantaged. And both of those subgroups are also growing at a rate greater than predicted when compared to what the state report card would say are observationally similar schools. So those 2 subgroups are proud of the work we're doing with those
So just to be clear, this is the growth section on the school report card, which shows how individual students are growing each year in their achievement on math and reading, correct? Okay, it's not the school level, it's individual students.
These numbers are actually our school score.
Okay.
But growth is based on just how they did last year this year. So So just looking at how we improve students and improving them.
And then this is the first time where all three are in forward results.
So each year, the state report card will provide us information on the rate of change in student achievement over time. And what we're really looking at is some key groups the state focuses in on that has historically had a statewide achievement gap compared to comparison. So, for example, here we're looking at students with disabilities when compared to students without disabilities statewide. As Rachel mentioned, we're experiencing positive growth with two of our key target groups. The third group here, students with disabilities, is a group that over the last 2 years, you can see we haven't grown. The gap hasn't grown, but it hasn't narrowed either. And this is data that we noticed before the state report even came out in July with our permission team to look at data. We knew this was an area to work with. In order to continue living our mission of every student learning, growing, succeeding, we know we can do better, and we're going to continue to work on behalf of all our students and students who have an IEP, because even though they have an IEP as a result of the disability they have with learning, we believe they're capable of achieving academic success as a any student. We're also confident that our actions can change the trajectory of our students with disabilities and Muskego lives. With that said, we're taking some really intentional steps this year to better understand our current system as it's designed to support students with disabilities. A couple steps we're taking. We have a special education study team really just looking at our current practices to see what we're doing to help them achieve. We're doing an audit of our IEP goals to make sure they're rigorous and aligned with state standards. And finally, we're also working on piloting the progress, taking a look at how our students doing on a weekly basis, so we can adjust our practices in real time to make sure we're giving them the best instruction we can. So really, when we think about what we're doing at Muskego Lakes, all means all. We're taking some really intentional actions this year that we feel will impact achievement for all students. And just like our high tide goes our boats, our work will be all our students.
So after examining our trend data this summer with a newly formed leadership team, we engaged in a root cause analysis to determine which actions we were taking or not taking that were impacting achievement overall. We knew we had to examine our current reality and really get to the why behind the results we're getting in order to do personal success in the school. From our root cause analysis protocol, we looked at our gap areas in data, but we also looked at areas of strength. So where were there pockets of success and achievement, and what was going on there? Three of the things we noticed as a team were teachers had really solid relationships with kids and knew who the students were as mentors and as people. That was a key tactic that we knew was impacting growth. Another key area we found where the achievement was above and beyond. Other pockets of learning was the personalization of the learning experience, and so teachers knowing what the students needed as a learner and knew how to provide students with choice and some ownership over their learning, provide that agency. And then our highly effective PLCs, where the teachers were focused on students who weren't experiencing learning and they were taking actions to make sure students learn. So those were the three key areas, really knowing students, providing more choice and personalization, and PLC where we saw the areas of achievement, and of course we should build and you'll see those in our strategic actions. Something else we concluded was that we had capacity to be building to do when it came to coordinating our response on students' learning. So we had to look at what were we prioritizing and ensuring in the learning process, and how are we going to come together and focus our efforts on to address this need. We knew we had to make changes to current practice because we know our system is designed to get the results we're getting. And next up, we have two brand new learning, teaching and learning coaches at Muskego Lakes. We have Sarah Biles and Ellen Grant, and they're going to share our work this year.
Hi everyone, I'm Ellen Grant, and I'm teaching and learning coaches at Lakes. Transitioning to a new space this year was an amazing opportunity to reimagine what we wanted our learners' experience to be at Muskego Lakes Middle School. At our summer leadership retreat, Rachel challenged us to reflect on our vision of a dream school and how how it may connect to our current district vision, mission, and values. We use the analogy of a stoplight and a roundabout to aim currently. The goal of a stoplight and a roundabout are the same: to keep drivers safe while maintaining the flow of traffic. However, in the areas where roundabouts have been developed, drivers experience hazard. So data shows the number of car crashes go down and the severity of the car crashes decreases. Our mission here is every student learning, growing, and succeeding. And at MLMS, we've begun to explore how changing the learning experience can better support this mission. Currently, there are pockets growing where learners are at the center of teachers' instructional design. And just as outcomes improve with the roundabout, teachers who have shifted a focus from teaching to a focus on learning are celebrating more success. In our dream school, we want to continue to build on this success. So organically, we began to synthesize all the ways that we can change the experience to learn and success.
I'm Sarah Bowles. I am the second community teaching and learning coach at Muskego Lakes. And I am honored to share with you our Muskego Lakes Middle School vision that we developed as a staff. Our vision expresses our aspirations for the kind of school that we want to be, and it is how we hope all stakeholders experience. Vision is how we hope all stakeholders experience our school, and it reveals our highest priorities. Our vision is at the center of our new Muskego Lakes Learning logo, and the logo was designed by Teacher Rochalski, who is our incredibly talented art teacher. She's here tonight. It includes our strategic actions, which you'll hear more about through the rest of the presentation. Our logo builds connectedness in our work because it outlines who we are and what we do. So you could consider this logo our Muskego Lakes Middle School roundabout. We understand that an impactful way to change the student experience at Muskego Lakes is to identify strategic actions for connecting the mind and heart as we see in the picture there. Our logo starts with our why. It's clear about our what, and it articulates our how that will go about reaching the goals on our IM goal. Next, we're excited to share a video featuring 3 of our 5 strategic actions so you can hear from teachers and students more about our work.
Here at Muskego Lakes, we are focused on our vision so all students learn, grow, and succeed. We continue to invest in our collective efficacy as a learning community because we know all students can learn because of what we do.
Learner profiles provide teachers with the opportunity to better understand students. Equally as important, they help students develop a sense of who they are as a learner.
A visual learner, a problem solver, hands-on learner, believer in strategists, being organized, work better independently, empathizer, they are strategist and chameleon. We did an adult learner profile before the school year started, and I found it to be a really neat experience to be so introspective. I liked being able to provide that opportunity for my students too. It felt really good to give them space to let us know more about them just as human beings.
Their profiles are important at Muskego Lakes because they are really able to identify the student as a whole. Looking at their interests and incorporating those into our activities, their learning styles, giving them a voice on how they learn best, and making those connections for them.
Another strategic action at Muskego Lakes is building in learner choice by providing real, significant, and authentic options for learners. Allowing for learner choice not only builds greater commitment to learning among students, but also positions them as drivers of their own learning.
I feel like the student experience changed because they were able to work more at their own pace. Students who caught on to material quickly were able to work through the learning path and choose more challenging tasks.
You can choose how you want to learn. You can do the textbook, I really enjoyed the independent learning path because I could work on whatever I needed to understand the concept better.
When the kids have choices with learning, I see that they pick things that they're naturally good at. So if they're a tactile learner, or they do things with video, or do things best by reading, that they're picking those.
Allowing for student choice lets the students have more ownership in what they're doing to learn, and it creates a more authentic self-organization of learning for students, which therefore increases their motivation to learn, grow, and succeed.
Muskego Lakes has a PBIS Tier 1 team with 10 members and a PBIS Tier 2 team with 9 members. That makes a total of 19 staff members dedicated to the hard work of implementing this system. Last spring, with the help of a team of families, students, and staff, we developed a new PBIS matrix. The matrix outlines the various behavioral expectations within our school and community. There are 4 core pillars which center around Muskie pride. The purpose of PBIS is to develop and consistently teach school-wide expectations, routines, and procedures with a common language that is universally understood. It is also to establish and maintain a safe, positive culture in our school and community. We use behavioral data to inform all of our decisions and guide our work. We acknowledge that some students have lagging behavioral skills. Therefore, we understand that kids need to be taught behavioral expectations just like they are taught any academic concept or skill.
Here at Muskego Lakes,
So did we almost watch it twice?
So that was 3 of our strategic actions. And we'll take a look at another one of them, and it's contributing to highly effective professional learning communities. So professional learning communities, abbreviated PLCs, are made up of teams of teachers who collaborate around weekly cycles of inquiry, resulting in collective action to ensure students' full skill gaps. PLCs are important because they help us act on the belief that all students can learn because of what we do. And how do we respond to together? There are a variety of PLCs in our building, so to get a better sense of what professional learning communities look like in action here at Muskego Lakes, we'll hear from 2 of our members of a literacy team, Allie Tome and Sarah Schutte, who are here with us tonight, and then our teacher, who will also tell us, Gina Rosowski, who will explain what the work of professional learning communities is for. So live. This year, we will be share our focus on the priority standards of teaching. Because of this, we have been more effective in creating common formative data to determine which students are proficient in key skills. So up here, for example, this is what we use our skills to teach. For example, we first get a question to learn how to know when students can learn. So we break down a standard to specific skills. So this one, we use RLRI 6, which was determined author, make purchase, point of view, or purpose. And then we look at what we want the benchmarks to be and what we consider to be proficient. After we figure out what the benchmarks are, we create common formulas that we give to all of our students, usually over a group of 4. We collect the data, and then we add the student names to our data every single week. And then we will decide which students need extra help with the benchmark skills that we're working on, or which students have that help or exceeded proficiency. And then we come back to the students who haven't met over and over again until we hopefully get all of our students proficient at those skills. There are several things that we do to differentiate for students who have not yet met proficiency. First, we start with pattern analysis, where we review questions with formative with students. We can also assign an I-Ready lesson, which is a specific online lesson that reviews the information they are not yet proficient in. And we also create small groups where we use the text we read and review the skill that's learning. This is what we do with literacy, but for PBS is also very good.
For the last several years, our PLCs at our school have undergone many changes, especially for our encore social studies and science teachers. One of the challenges that we come across is because our encore teachers are typically the only teacher in the practicing area of the building, it can make it more difficult to find effective ways to create a PLC. So this year, Rachel and Chad asked our encore social studies and science teachers to consider the needs of our students in areas we are seeing gaps. It met with each of us individually to hear about those gaps, but also to help us to strategically plan out ways that we solve these needs for our students. As a result, encore social studies and science teachers are organized into different PLCs centered around goal setting, academic conversations, and other athletic practices. our teacher as well as our band and choir teacher. While we all teach different content areas across all of our classes, students struggle to reflect on learning and with the skills necessary to set and achieve goals. We've approached goal setting as a skill and are created a goal setting continuum, which you'll see on the left side of the screen, in order to have a common language for our classes and to work on goal setting as a skill that will be needed across not only our content areas, but across a skill that will be needed across the area. What goals look different in each of our classes, our ultimate goal is to empower students to take the driver's seat in their learning, to close gaps within our content area, and help build the skills necessary that they will need in many areas of their life. Within my own classroom, I've worked to personalize learning in our art studio and to treat students as artists, and thus they need to learn to make choices as artists. In order to support this approach, our studio uses the studio habits of mind, which were created by Harvard's Project Zero, which you'll see on the screen. The studio habits are 8 dispositions that artists use and develop to become more successful creative individuals. In connection with goal setting, 6th graders have self-reflected on their ability to use certain habits and are setting goals and action plans to reach those goals. We work on goal guided days, and each student sets a goal based off of their individual habit that they're working on. So for example, I may have a student that's working on developing craft through first and technical skill of creating, while another student may struggle with taking risks and taking on new challenges, so they might explore a new medium or try making multiple different sketches or ideas. No matter what the goal is, the students are being empowered to think like artists and are gaining skills necessary to set and achieve goals, not only by classroom but in other classes as well.
Next, we're excited to share our final strategic action from our logo, Building Confidence to Close Skill Gaps. As you can see, there's been a major mindset shift in education over time. So in the past, which is at the top, the width of student learning was determined by their innate ability or aptitude, and now we believe all students can and will learn at relatively high levels of achievement because of who we are and what we do. With PLC's focus on evidence of student learning, we identify gaps in student understanding and then are able to close those gaps with strategic action. So we ensure learning habits rather than just offer the opportunity to learn. Our commitment to a coordinated response to better support students is what will build their confidence and close their skill gaps. 3 of our teachers and some of their students will now share examples of what closing skill gaps looks, sounds, and feels like at Muskego Lakes. So please welcome Ken Roman, a merchandise social studies and literacy teacher, Lauren Scanlon, literacy and social studies teacher, and Jennifer Davis, a science teacher.
As you've heard today, data analysis is part of the building here at Muskego Lakes. For the PLCs, we analyze pre-assessment data, universal screening data, and classroom coordinated and summative assessment data. We review student understanding daily and act on it in real time to help close gaps. We connect with kids through their learning profiles, small group instruction, and personalized online tools, which allow us to build student confidence. Students are given the resources, tools, and instruction they need to be successful. Through this process, students also have the opportunity to share their learning with one another and teach each other daily.
From our PLCs, we often look at the data and decide what we're going to do with it. Often we decide to use small groups to help close instructional gaps, and we've taken the steps this year to narrow it down to a really specific skill. So instead of telling you about it, and we're going to 2 of our students, Paula and Alex, I'm going to read Alex's response tonight, and then I was going to share some of her response, and then some of her classmates as well. So when asked why he enjoys small group, Alex said, "When I work with my teacher in a small group, it's helpful because it helps me catch up on whatever skill I'm working on."
Like my classmates said, when I work with a teacher in a small group, it's helpful because I am very social, so I can communicate with people and teachers, and able to ask questions if I have any. Another one of my classmates said, when I work with a teacher in a small group, it's helpful because we can share my ideas, explore
guess first I want to thank the students for coming in, sharing what they were all learning here with the board. I know coming in front of, even we are a small group here, but to you it probably seems very intimidating, and to get up and speak in front of us, you guys all did great, and I want to congratulate you on that. Does anyone have any questions? Exciting stuff. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you, Muskego Lakes, for hosting and for updating the board. We really appreciate that.
Actually, I do have one question.
Sure.
So you moved into this new building. How much? It's got to be a huge challenge to continue the curve of learning from the trajectory that you had going from Bay Lane over here to continue learning, and then open a new building all at once. I mean, how do you manage that? And is it taking away a lot of time from our core missions of getting the building up and going, and how are things going from that front?
Can you clarify, like, you mean just learning in a new space, or?
Yeah, I mean, you're starting a new facility up here. You started it in July, or I mean, obviously we've been working on it, but you can plan as much as possible for something like this, and then once students come, classes start, there's always things that pop up that you didn't plan on. You're doing that on top of trying to continue learning. What's been the biggest challenge so far, I guess? Or has it been that well planned that everything just went smooth as silk and no hiccups?
Honestly, nothing really stands out. I think we have an awesome custodial team. We have an awesome leadership team. Chad and I both stepping into team roles. He's been phenomenal to work with partners and leading the school. We have 2 new coaches who have stepped up to learn whatever they need to and learn with it. We were well prepared in the spring with getting input from meetings and some sessions where we learned from parents that they were looking for students, what we can do better, and so we really were prepared to start off the year strong. So we had, actually Sarah Shuey was part of leading a team where they came over to the building and figured out where the kids going to walk, and where can they go, and what's that going to look like, and how can we prepare them to teach them. Some of our teachers planned out visuals for the assignment notebooks, so kids knew what to expect. So I think there's a lot of hard work by a lot of people.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious, who was the one that developed the handshaking at the beginning? The high fives?
Sarah.
Oh,
Which is the first week she wanted
nice
to do
job.
that, and then we decided that we were going to do all over.
Very cool.
That's part of my practice.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, the next agenda item in the superintendent's report is an update on master planning and the Education Foundation, and Julie has an update that she can share with the board.
Okay, so we have, the board had approved 3 board goals, and so with regard to the master planning process, so the board has seen the initial project list that we've kind of put together and prioritized, and I did attach it again for your review if you wanted to look at it. So that was kind of our first stab at what the master planning projects could look like, and obviously we want to continue to gather stakeholder input. And so one of the things that we are considering is doing a master planning survey similar to the type of survey we did when we went out for the referendum to gauge interest, but a very different focus. Instead of looking at it from a referendum perspective with dollars and cents attached, it's more about the projects that we're considering, the goals and the visions of the community. And so we have we would be working with Bill Foster to develop a survey, and once that survey is developed, we would bring it forward to you as a draft for your review before sending it out. And then also with regard to the Educational Foundation, so we're very early in that process. However, we do want to keep the board informed that over the next 2 months we'll be working on at least getting started with what a foundation is, the different opportunities that we have. We're going to be talking with a couple board members on different foundations throughout Waukesha County just to get their perspective on. A lot of these foundations have been established for a very long time, so they're not the original starters of the foundation. So just to get some perspective, and then we'll likely come back with more information during a work session in January with the board to talk a little bit more about that process, as well as the master planning process and the survey itself.
So if the board's okay, we'll plan a separate evening for a work session on a Monday evening in January that we can talk about both of these items and kind of dig deeper, rather than tying it into a board meeting just because we have, for January and February, we still have those evenings with the schools, and so we might not be able to really get too much into it. So, anybody have an issue with that?
We have one board meeting in January,
Yeah.
and it leaves us.
Yeah. Thinking about maybe even the 28th of January is what we were thinking.
I'm out of town then, but.
Oh, okay, so maybe the 21st. But what we can do is we can send out, we'll have Dara poll, but knowing the 28th is not, maybe the 21st then. And if it's, and maybe we'll throw in one of the first February Mondays too, potentially. Okay, so then we have just information on the joint convention and then contributions to the profession. A couple were added since the last time, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to other reports, president's report, I have none. Is there any board member reports? Hearing none, moving on to resolution action items.
Do I need to read the first?
Yeah. Right. You do, sorry. Didn't see a little tab there, that's why.
Thank you.
Yep.
A notice of school board election was published in the Wednesday, November 21st, 2018 edition of the Waukesha County Now for 2 seats up for election for 3-year terms. Interested district residents who are eligible may file a declaration of candidacy and a campaign registration statement at the Educational Services Center located on Woods Road, Muskego, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, beginning December 1st, 2018. The deadline for filing is 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2019. A primary election, if necessary, will take place on Tuesday, February 19th, 2019. The spring election will take place on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. If an incumbent is not running for re-election, a written declaration of non-candidacy should be provided at the Educational Services Center no later than 5 p.m. on Friday, December 21st, 2018. If an incumbent is not a candidate and fails to file this notification, the deadline for filing declarations of candidacy is extended for other candidates to 5 p.m. on Friday, January 4th, 2019. The term of office for candidates elected at the spring election begins on Monday, April 22nd, 2019. That's the end of the clerk's report.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 7, resolution action item 7A 2019-20 school calendar.
Motion to approve 2019-20 school calendar as presented.
Want to second that? So I guess I need a clarification. What do you guys mean? Because there's 2 of them that are presented.
Yeah.
Right.
So confused.
It could be the one you guys decide.
You can pick one or the other. We can change it. You just got to pick one now.
Motion to, sorry.
Make it easy. Pick the one with the new spring date. March.
With the March date, yes.
I'll second.
All right, discussion. Is this your baby?
It's our baby.
Our baby.
So at the last board meeting, we presented 2 different calendars for consideration, and just wanted to further clarify some points maybe that I did not make very clear, and perhaps there was some misunderstanding about some of the data points that are shared in some of these attached items. But first of all, just feel it's imperative that the board know that that the calendar committee looks at a variety of data points when we put together our school calendar. And unique this year, we put together 2 different school calendars based upon multiple data points. And that data that we're taking a look at is a survey that we sent out to staff, a survey we sent out to parents, and then also there's some additional data that we were able to gather from what's happening regionally here in CISA 1. And more specifically, data that over the course of the last 3 years would indicate that CISA 1, not only Waukesha County School Districts, but within the region, there has been an initiative to have a common spring break in the month of March, the last full week of March, when Easter is close to that, to actually have it precede Easter that last week of March, and then have that following Monday off. So with that said, I guess I want to just bring about a point of clarification from some data that was shared at the last meeting. And that particular document is called Spring Break 2019 through 2024. If you just want to open that up, let me clarify these particular pieces for you. So there are, the CISA 1 had, like I said, been working over the course of the last 3 years to find districts that were interested in a common spring break. And as I shared at the last meeting, most Waukesha County school districts are looking to next year going to that last full week in March spring break. And other districts within CISA 1, the majority, are also looking to that last full week of March. So the document that I asked you just to open up would show you when the last full week of March actually is. That's at the top. And when Easter Sunday is. Okay, so that would be that top set of data. And then when you shift down to the bottom set of data, that would be the recommended spring break from 2019 all the way through 2024. To the right of that, you will see, and as part of moving spring break to March, there was also an agreement that there would be a 4-day Easter weekend, which I think wasn't very clear, and I didn't do a very good job of explaining that at the last board meeting. So not only would spring break occur, let's just say in 2019, March 25th through the 29th, but there would also be a 4-day Easter weekend, which would also be another mini break for families that wanted to capitalize on leaving, going out of town over the Easter holiday. So Good Friday would be off, that Friday before Easter. And then also for families that are traveling, that 22nd, that Monday post-Easter would also be a day off. So you can see that happens on the spring breaks and the 4-day Easter weekends. Those are all in white. There are 2 that are highlighted in yellow. And the reason why those are highlighted in yellow is because that is when spring break falls in the last week of March and the beginning of April. And that 4-day Easter weekend really is wrapped into spring break, with April 5th and that first one being the Monday after Easter. So in all of these spring breaks, proposed spring breaks through 2024, there would be the Monday after Easter that would be off in each one of these scenarios, which I don't think was very clear the last time. Are there questions about that particular document now that I've explained it again? Okay. So thank you for your attention to that. So then, in large part, if you were to open up the document with the 2 particular calendars, really the main difference between those 2 calendars that we would be looking at would be, one, having that March spring break. Again, as I said, that is something that CISA 1, the districts within CISA 1 are looking to have in common. So there's a March spring break and then the 4-day weekend that would have April 10th and April 13th off. That wraps Easter weekend. Or the one where there's an April spring break, which has been the spring break that's been included Good Friday and then post Easter week, that would be off. I guess if we were to try to take all things considered, I would hedge the board to consider the calendar with the March spring break for a couple different reasons. One, this is something, as I've said multiple times tonight, that regionally we're trying to find this common spring break in March, and perhaps it allows our teachers, but also parents that are teachers, to be able to have that. Having a break in March, especially when Easter is so late, affords that March break, which is a good breakup of sometimes what would be a very, very long stretch from coming back from winter break all the way through an Easter spring break when it falls really late in April. And then the other reason would be when we take a look at the teacher data, there was more interest and indication in wanting to have that. So those would be the two reasons why I would nudge in that favor of having the March spring break and have the board consider that.
So just to clarify the motion, it is to approve the calendar with the March spring break.
Yep.
And it's only for this year at this point, correct?
It's only this calendar.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I would like to see how this works out before we make it kind of a permanent.
Well, every year the calendar comes back anyway.
Right, but I mean, as the administration plans going forward, I'd kind of like to see a second option, how it will pan out, and any sort of feedback we get from the parents as we proceed forward. I mean, this is a year down the road before we even look at the next one. So we actually wouldn't get that up. So I guess the year after that would be one. We need to see how it works out.
Will likely be a 2-year commitment from the standpoint of whether or not it's going to work.
Yeah, and after that. it'd be
And
next
obviously, I won't be here for that, but I would encourage the board, no matter what you do, to give some finality to this for at least 2 years. It's bringing this back every year just doesn't make sense. And, it gives people more planning options. Gives us more time to get through that. Chris, you had some?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Jeff, and thank you for responding to all my calls and emails on this past week. I was back and forth on this, but in the end, I think I'd like to try it. I think 2 years is good, and all the data is out there. And I even went back. I think a year ago we had the CISA 1. I saw that on board doc, so I went through that again, and so that helped as well in all your communication. So thank you. So I have no issue with this. I'll support it. The only thing I'd offer going forward is so when we saw the master planning PDF that that listed basically in the matrix form. I think generally what would help me out is down the road if we could somehow have a more holistic view as our schedule going forward, as far as, and some idea would be you've got all the schools, and then you've got the breaks, or the first day, the last day, the breaks, basically all the impactful points, all of our discussions on school timing, increasing school hours, whatever we may try to do, because I think for me that helped if I could see that holistically, and I think maybe the parents may enjoy that down the road if that's possible. I know these things don't come up at the same time, right? The administration tries to address these as they come up, and so, but I think we've broached a lot of these topics, as far as the length of the school day, looking at the amount of time in the school, the start date. I know we've kind of toyed with that. We've toyed around with the end date, and so I think we're certainly on this something here. It's clear based on just the general comments I've gotten back this last day. Week of March would be good to try. So, but thank you for all of your efforts and your calendar committee. I certainly didn't want to delay it, but I appreciated the quick responses I've gotten to support this. So, thanks.
Thank you.
I did get a text from Mr. Schrader letting me know he wasn't going to be here tonight, but he did weigh in on that, saying he does support the March spring break date for the calendar, so for what that's worth.
Yeah,
Someone
well, I was
else?
just gonna add, because I did put feelers out, because I really do want to know what the community feels about this before I jump into it, because it's a big change. I mean, it's gonna be a shocker, and I try to get it out there as much as possible to get to these people to find out. And I would say, from what I got back, 2/3 say March would be fine. And the interesting part that I felt was, a lot of them are teachers outside the district, like they have kids within our district, but they're teachers outside the district, and they would like to see that continuity of spring break, which was interesting. Another one mentions that the sports they're actually being held back not to go on spring break during that Easter week because, let me see what she said. It's something about, the reason hold on. I don't want to misquote anybody. Here. I don't care that the school sports are required that the athletes do not attend spring break with their families because of sporting events. And I don't know anything about that, but that's what I'm getting feedback from some of the staff and for some of the parents saying that they're having to stay for, I don't know, baseball or whatever because it's still during their season. I have no idea. And then the other thing that I also got from not parents but teachers in the district was that the kids are just fried if you keep them into school too long, and that the earlier break is kind of a nice thing for them to have to deal with, so that's a good thing. Another thing that came up too was the end date of school. Everybody wants to be done the first week of June. So I don't know how you make that work, but
In future, maybe.
try to make that work. Because I think you'd make a lot of people happy.
Give it a Christmas break.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. It's probably longer days, right? I would assume you have to
Yeah,
put
that
in
was
more
one of the
hours.
things.
Yeah, longer days to make that work. So, but yeah, finishing school early.
So one of the things that we use is a DPI spreadsheet that has calculations and formulas built in, and we take our instructional minutes, and when we calculate those instructional minutes, we're able to afford 2 inclement weather days. But beyond that, it is a stretch, specifically at the high school level, given the number of minutes. So we are able to squeak by with the 179 student days. So the way our current schedule is.
There is one, the parent calendar survey. One of the first questions that's asked is about the construction of the calendar around length of winter break being the highest importance, that there is a good amount of time over the winter break. Then more frequent, shorter breaks throughout the school year is the second highest rated school calendar piece. Then lengthening the spring break, and then it's shortening the summer break, which would have the impact around that, June date and all of that. So, yeah, we continue to work through that, but minutes and hours.
Definitely
Yeah.
something that they're very passionate about.
That feedback.
So as I said last time, I don't have a person's race, but looking at the data, your conversations was 2/3, 1/3. I believe that from people you talk to, but by throwing in that you talked to a number of teachers, I think that's what skewed it a little bit. I think by and large it's 50-50. The community is really not giving you any data one way or the other. I'll encourage this board going forward when, you always, our lead mission here is to the student, next is to the parents, third is to the staff. Those are all important. I don't want to say that staff's last. They're not. They're number 3, which is still high. We're getting data here that's kind of defaulting that the first 2 there's no impact on. This is a big thing for your staff. They want to be able to take their time off with their families like we can with ours. And since this change doesn't impact them, them meaning our community, listen to your staff in this one. We try to be the workplace of choice. These are things that could matter for some people coming to work here for us. They may look at that and I don't want to come here from Elmbrook because I don't want to give up that vacation every year with my family. So if it's not impacting the community or the students, just keep that in mind going forward. So for what it's worth.
Thanks for that. I actually think it was Chris who said that it's better to have it kind of right in the middle of the semester. I think that's my overriding thing. Although I am glad we are able to help with that. So that's the driving factor for me. I think it is too long if we have the later Easter. So, and like I said, we'll have 2 years to try this. Assuming we'll keep next year's calendar similar to this and see how sort of feedback.
All right, hearing no more conversation about this.
Yes.
All those in favor of the motion as made, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for all the work, guys. Questions from all the board members, it helps just to get it pretty easy. Moving on to item 7B, middle and high school academic guidebooks.
Motion to approve the 2019-20 middle school and high school academic guidebooks as presented.
Anyone?
Terry?
Oh. So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Courtney's here to give us a little update.
There are the full career cluster PDF document that is linked in there. You received a sample of that last time, so you're able to view those additional career cluster documents.
Can I, so who actually put this together now? I mean, the final one. What was that? Our staff. So from scratch, we built this. It's an incredible document.
Yeah, it looks really great.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I love this, that it gives the students the opportunity that they know they can get started and continue on and still have a career with many paths to it. So it's just a really great document, I think.
Mine's still downloading.
Yeah, it's not
It's
open.
Lots of pictures. I think it's.
Well, you
I
need to
can't
have a
imagine what the
2007 Mac,
size of the
then it'll work.
PDF.
Right. It took a couple tries to get it linked, so.
Yeah, now it's starting to go a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm halfway.
So you can see
Open up
it.
the
I
guidebook,
just
take
love
a
the
look.
whole, it's so much easier.
No, you
to
did it
stuff.
before.
Yeah,
Just don't do it now.
Yeah.
No, it's a career clusters.
Any questions, specific questions or concerns on this right
I have none.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to discussion items.
One question. This is just online, right? We don't print these up.
Correct. Discussion items 8A 2019-20 budget. This is, I assume, a placeholder. Anyone have any budget item questions since it's on here? Hearing none, moving on to 8B 2019-2020 budget calendar. This is a thing.
This is a thing. It's the same thing that you see every year with updated dates, but really what it does is it outlines the work that we do as a district and with you as the board to approve the budget and work through the budget planning process. So again, any items that you see here are very general that we work on through our leadership team and cabinet meetings before we bring information to the board. The information that's in bold are items that are specific DPI required reporting dates and or dates that are written out by state statute. So again, just for planning purposes, we bring this forward for approval at the next meeting and then we post it on the website. So if the community wants to follow along, they're more welcome.
So what do you do when you don't have a state budget by October 1st, which is probably real realistic this year?
You panicked. No, I'm kidding. We adjust. We had to adjust a couple of years ago. That happened. So if we do not have the budget by October 15th, the state will extend the deadline for us, which gives us additional flexibility with posting and when the annual meeting is and everything like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have the annual meeting with the budget as presented, and then at a normal board meeting, we would come back with the budget.
That's adjusted.
That's adjusted after we get the information.
So one on the tax levy by the October 31st deadline.
It's actually November 8th is when we have to certify, so if we have a meeting right before that, We could certify as late as the 8th. However, in the past, when we did have a budget that was later than October 15th, they did extend that date. It used to be November 1st, now it's November 8th for that reason. So if it was to be pushed forward, I would say that they would have to extend the date for us to be able to make that happen. You would hope.
Let's see.
Yeah, but it is adjustable, flexible. This just gives a basic outline for you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on to 8C, proposed 2019 board meeting calendar.
So this is the calendar, very similar to how we've approached our board calendars in the last few years. We have the rotating board meetings scheduled, dates between October 28th, the annual meeting, through February. We have two dates, the March spring break or the April, so if the board is now comfortable with March, those are the Mondays, April 6th and April 20th, that we would have board meetings during that time frame. And we'll bring this back for approval at our next meeting.
Was there a reason, sorry, Rick. Well, was there a reason, do we need to meet April 6th? I'm just curious with that. Was there a reason that we have to meet twice in April? Or before Easter?
It was, I don't
know, there may be.
So this year, for example, we're meeting twice in March and once in April.
Okay, so that was.
So if we move to the March spring break, we would be once in March and twice in April.
Okay.
And the only thing that's going on during that time is like non-renewals and things like that. Not that we've had to really.
So not really a major, okay.
Yeah, it's not really major. If the board is comfortable with going to one meeting in March and one meeting in April, I could certainly look to do that. And go toward the middle of April for that Monday meeting. Would that be comfortable?
Well, Easter was April 12th, so I was just
so
thinking April 20th would be the one, but I don't know what happens between March and 9th. It just always seems to be a very dry time of year for the board.
And we're coming off of 2 January and 2 February.
March Madness, yeah.
One of those
yeah. So I don't know. I would be open to not having the April 6th date, but that's just based on, because I was looking at our previous agendas. It seems it's very light. But.
And we could, and if we need to add something in there for reasons that we aren't knowing now, we could certainly do that. What I'd probably do is move the March date down.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'll look at it and I'll bring it back.
Like if you do the first, it looks like it's like the first Monday, so that 6th one would be more, and take away the 20th.
Or that one. It's fine.
It's just like consistently, you're kind of doing the first Monday. Yeah. I don't know.
If the board's comfortable with that, I'll bring that back for the next meeting.
Just a thought. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great. And then information follow-up. Any requests? None. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Someone. Does anyone have to do the
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is that Brett?
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.